I've gotten tons of comments asking for my settings and how I do my resets so fast. So today I'm going over everything you need to know about your binds and settings in Rec League Sideswipe. And I'm not only going to give you these settings, but I'm also going to explain why I have them the way I do and why they're so useful. I'm also going to show you my finger placement on a hand cam to explain my playstyle, as well as how I do turbo resets insanely fast. If you haven't yet, make sure to join the Discord where you can ask questions, suggest video ideas, and participate in tournaments. That link will be in the description. Without further ado, let's get straight into this video. Now, if you've played Sideswipe for a while now, you have realized that the default settings just don't allow you to play at your full potential. No matter how good you are, if you stick to the default settings, you're always going to be at a disadvantage. So the first setting that I want to go over is your configuration settings. Now, if you're on controller, you can skip past this part, but for touch players, this is super important. To get to your configuration settings, go to your settings and go to the gameplay tab. Click configuration and it will take you to a screen like this. Now, the first thing that I think is most important is to make your buttons bigger. I have my jump button to almost its max size and the boost button a little bit smaller. What these bigger buttons are going to allow you to do is to make it way easier to tap. And this is so important because the small default buttons are so easy to accidentally miss. Now, as far as where the buttons are positioned is based on what you wish to do in game. Let me explain what I mean. If you want to become a freestyler or be mechanical, you would want to have a layout similar to mine. If you want to be very consistent and accurate, I would choose a layout similar to this. And if you don't want to play claw at all, I would go with this setup, which is similar to the freestyler layout, but it's definitely not the same. Let me show you how I position my fingers and why different layouts work best for how you play. Now, for my setup, I only use my left thumb for the joystick movement, but my right fingers do multiple things. When I am doing flip resets, my thumb is pressing the jump button while my middle finger is pressing the right side of my screen. When I push the right side of my screen, my card turns over instantly, which is another important setting that I'll get to in a second. When I boost, I use my right thumb, and when I jump regularly, I use my middle finger. When I hold these two together, I get the same outcome as the speed jump button. Don't worry though, I'll get over that button too. It may be harder to learn at first, but I find it gives you a lot of control when freestyling and doing flip resets. The second layout is about consistency and accuracy. Now, I will warn you that this layout isn't as good for doing flip resets because the jump button is blocking the right side of your screen, but it is a very good setup for consistency. I find that in order to be accurate and consistent when using the other freestyling method, you have to put a lot of time in. But on this setup, you don't have to spend a ton of time practicing and still have super accurate and consistent shots. This layout is good because it puts your middle finger right where it needs to be to hit the ball precisely. For the freestyle setup, your middle finger has to move all the way down to the bottom of the screen in order to shoot, making it less consistent and accurate. And the last method is by far the easiest, but it works really well if you don't want to play claw. For this method, you want to enable the speed jump button so that you can get into the air as fast as possible and beat your opponent to the ball. The speed jump button basically combines the boost and the jump button, so you don't have to use more than 2 fingers. You still want to have your regular jump button available though, as there will be many times that you want to jump but not boost. Make sure to put the buttons close together so that they are easier to reach with your thumb. Now, these settings only work if you have always defend right on. The other option is always defend left. These settings just decide what side you score on. Always defend right is the default setting, so unless you changed it, you shouldn't have to mess with it. Now let's talk about some more overlooked tabs. The notification tab just gives you notifications about stuff like new challenges and updated item shops. This is totally up to you if you want to have the setting turned on. Now let's move to the audio tab. The only main thing in this tab that is worth noting is whether or not you want the in-game music off or on. The game comes with automatic playing music, but I would suggest you turn it off. If we're all being honest, the music is kind of trash anyway, and we can play music that we actually like from places like Spotify or Apple Music. I would definitely have the music off though. Then we get to the graphics tab, which is very basic as well. Just have your max FPS at 60, and the rest is really all personal preference. Last but definitely not least, we have the accessibility tab. In this tab, there are only 3 really important things you need to change. Firstly, we have the show jump/dodge indicator. All this does is tell you when you have a jump or not by showing you a color in the middle of your boost. You can see that when I have a jump, the inner circle is green, but when I do not have a jump, it is gray. This is a very useful tool when you don't know if you have a flip or not, and I would definitely suggest having it on. Secondly, there is single press air turns. Basically, the only way to do flip resets in this game is to have this setting on. What it does is turns your car over almost immediately by tapping the right side of your screen. I have a whole video on how to do flip resets on my channel if you want to go check that out. And the last setting that I think is the only other one in the category where it's changing is joystick air roll. Now I know a lot of you probably have this turned on, but I want you to go on your device right now and turn it off. It really has no purpose, and I found that when I had it on, I would air roll accidentally sometimes, which messed me up a lot. I know some of you probably think it looks cool, and I know I did too when I was in the lower ranks, but trust me, it does you a lot more harm than good. That's all I have for you guys today. If you made it this far, thank you for all your support. Make sure to subscribe to get notified when I post, so you don't miss a video, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you have any other questions, do make sure to type in the comments or join the Discord. That's where I host tournaments, answer as many questions as possible, and do giveaways. Until then, see you in the next one.